Before we begin, if you enjoy stories where humanity surprises the galaxy, hit the like button and subscribe to the channel, because out there in the stars, humans are often underestimated, until they prove everyone wrong. Now let's begin. The alien bully grabbed the human's shoulder. He wanted to make a point. He made one, just not the point he intended. The entire cafeteria heard the crack. The bully's crew went silent. The bully went to the floor. The human finished his lunch. The Interspecies Exchange Academy on Drell Station was exactly what it sounded like. Young representatives from allied species. 1 year. Learning together. Building diplomatic relationships. Understanding each other. In theory. In practice, it was still a school, and schools, regardless of planet or species, had one universal constant. Someone who decided they were in charge. On Drell Station, that someone was a Kreth named Torv. Second-year student. 1.9 meters of dense muscle and deeply held opinions about who deserved to be where. He ran a crew of 6. 3 Kraith, 2 Vorith, 1 Solani who found the arrangement convenient. They had territories, specific tables in the cafeteria, specific corridors, a general agreement, enforced through social pressure and occasional physical demonstration that things worked on their schedule. The Academy's administration was aware of this. They found it frustrating. They also found it complicated because Torv had never crossed a line clear enough to justify formal action. He was smart about it. He pushed without punching. He leaned without breaking. He created discomfort without crossing into documented harm. He'd been doing it for 18 months. Nobody had stopped him. Then the humans arrived. 3 of them. Exchange year students, same as everyone else. Maya Osei, 19, quiet, always reading something. Corporal-turned-student Finn Barrett, 20, compact, moved carefully. And Lena Vasic, 21, sharp-eyed who had the specific quality of someone who noticed everything and filed it away. They arrived on a Thursday. They found their dormitory assignments. They found the cafeteria. They found a table. On Saturday morning, Torv's crew informed them, in the specific way that didn't constitute a formal threat, that the table they'd chosen was not available to them. Lena looked at the table. She looked at Torv. "It's empty," she said. "It's reserved." "For who?" "For people who've been here longer than 3 days." Lena looked at the table again. She looked at Maya. Maya shrugged very slightly. They moved to a different table. Finn watched Torv's crew the whole walkover. He didn't say anything. He sat down. He ate his meal. "Note everything," he said quietly. "Already am," Lena said. "How long do you think before he decides we're a problem?" Maya asked. Finn looked at Torv, who was watching them from across the cafeteria with the expression of someone confirming a theory. 3 days, Finn said. "I give it 2, Lena said. Maya thought, "He'll wait a week. He's not stupid. He wants to see what we do first." If you're enjoying the story so far, drop a like on the video. It helps the story reach more people who love humanity-first sci-fi stories. They ate. They were all wrong. It took 9 days. Day 9, Finn was in the corridor outside the engineering wing. He was reviewing course materials on his datapad. Torv appeared with 2 of his crew. "Human," Torv said. Finn looked up. Torv blinked. He hadn't expected to be named. "You know who I am. I learn people quickly." Finn stood up from the wall. "What can I do for you?" "You can make sure your group understands how this station works." "How it works?" "There are arrangements here. Schedules. Spaces that are used by certain groups." He leaned in slightly. "Your group should be aware of those arrangements." "We're aware," Finn said. "Good. We just don't agree with them." Torv went still. That was not the response he got from new students. New students agreed. Or they deflected. They didn't just casually disagree. "You should think carefully about that position," Torv said. "I have thought about it." Finn looked at him. "Your arrangements aren't official. They're not sanctioned. They rely on other people accepting them." "People do accept them." "Other people do? We don't." The corridor was quiet. One of Torv's crew shifted. Torv looked at Finn the way someone looks at an anomaly. A thing that isn't behaving correctly. "You're small," Torv said. "By your standards." "By any standards." You're a human. You weigh what, 75 kilograms? 80. I'm 140. I'm aware. That difference matters. Finn looked at him. Does it? The question sat there. Simple. Flat. Like a door that didn't open the way it was supposed to. Torv stared. Walk away, he said finally. Finn looked at him for one more second. Then he picked up his datapad and walked away. Torv watched him go. One of his crew leaned close. He's not afraid of you, the crew member said quietly. I noticed. What does that mean? Torv watched the human round the corner and disappear. It means he's either very stupid, he said, or he knows something we don't. That evening, Torv did something he didn't usually do. He looked up the human file. Exchange student records, Maya Osei, Finn Barrett, Lena Vasic. Their academic records were ordinary. Their physical assessments were human standard, nothing notable. But Finn Barrett's file had a section before the exchange program, previous training and experience. Torv read it. He read it again. He put down the datapad. He picked it up again. 2 years military service before the academy application, and before that, the civilian record. 9 years of competitive combat sport, starting at age 11, national-level competitor at 15, decorated in 3 separate disciplines. Torv sat with this information for a while. He thought about the corridor. He thought about, does it? He thought about someone who had been training in competitive combat sports since age 11 standing in a corridor and saying, I'm aware to a size comparison with a calm voice and no visible stress. Response, he thought maybe I should wait. He thought maybe I should find a softer target. He thought about that for 2 more days. Then he went to the cafeteria on Thursday and saw Finn at the table they'd originally chosen. The reserved table. He thought, I can't let that stand. He went to the table. He stood over Finn. He put his hand on Finn's shoulder. He squeezed. The way you do when you want someone to feel small. What happened next took about 2 seconds. Total. The cafeteria reconstructed it later in pieces. Torv's hand went to Finn's shoulder. Finn's right hand came up and found Torv's wrist. There was a specific rotation. A very short, very deliberate movement. And then the sound. Clear, sharp, wrong. Torv was on the floor. His wrist was at an angle that wrists don't usually reach. He was making a sound. Not screaming. Just a controlled exhalation of someone experiencing significant sudden pain. Finn stood. He hadn't spilled his meal. He looked down at Torv. He looked at Torv's crew. None of them had moved. Torv's wrist. The angle. Nobody moved. He'll need the medical bay, Finn said. His voice was completely level. The small bones near the wrist. He should have it looked at today. He picked up his tray. He walked to the return station. He came back. He sat back down at the table. He continued his meal. The cafeteria was very quiet for about 15 seconds. Then everyone started talking at once. Torv was helped up by his crew. He was pale, not pale in a species-specific way. Pale in the universal way of someone whose body had just encountered something unexpected and painful. He looked at Finn. Finn was eating. Torv looked at his crew. They looked at each other. Nobody said anything for a moment. Medical bay, one of them said finally. They left. Across the cafeteria, at a table by the window, Maya and Lena had watched the entire thing. Maya was holding her fork. She had not moved it for 30 seconds. Lena was very still. They looked at each other. 9 days, Lena said. I said 2. You were wrong. So were you. They looked at Finn eating his lunch. He didn't hesitate, Maya said. No. At all. No. Like it was a reflex. 14 years of training tends to do that. Maya put her fork down. Is his wrist actually broken? Lena considered. The small bones near the joint, that rotation. With that much controlled force? She paused. Probably a fracture at minimum. Finn knew exactly what he was doing. He always does. Maya looked across the cafeteria, at Torv's table now empty, at the other students, all still processing, all talking. At Finn, who had started reviewing his datapad between bites. The administration is going to call him in, Maya said. Yes. What does he say? Lena picked up her fork. He says someone put their hands on him without consent, and he responded proportionately. Was it proportionate? Lena thought about it. By human standards, probably. By Kreth standards. She shrugged. A grab on the shoulder is a greeting for them, not a threat. Finn knew that. Yes. So why? Because it wasn't a greeting, Lena said. It was a demonstration of dominance, and Finn doesn't accept those. Maya was quiet for a moment. He's going to get called in. Yes. Will he be in trouble? Lena watched Finn turn a page on his datapad. I think the administration is going to have an interesting conversation. The administration did call him in. Dean Preth. Silanani species. 20 years running the exchange program. She had seen conflicts before. They followed predictable patterns. This one was different. She sat across from Finn in her office. He sat with his hands on his knees. Not nervous. Not defiant. Waiting. You injured another student, she said. I stopped a student from applying unwanted physical contact. He put his hand on your shoulder. He put his hand on my shoulder in the context of an ongoing pattern of territorial intimidation. It was not a greeting. It was a demonstration. You can't know his intent. I can assess it based on context. 9 days of behavioral documentation suggests the intent was coercive. She paused. You documented it. Starting from day 3. You've been documenting Torv's behavior. Yes. Why? Because when this moment came, I wanted a record. She looked at him. You anticipated this moment. The escalation was predictable. You predicted he would physically touch you. I predicted he would escalate to physical demonstration. Yes, and you prepared. I'm always prepared. She sat back. Corporal, former, just Finn. Finn, you fractured a bone in another student's wrist. Possibly, he should get it checked. He did. It's fractured. Finn nodded. Good that he went. Good that he went. Good, she repeated. That he went to the medical bay. It's better treated immediately. She stared at him. You're not. She stopped. Are you not concerned about what happened? I'm concerned about whether the policy framework here adequately addresses ongoing coercive behavior. That's not what I asked. It's what I'm concerned about. She folded her hands. You fractured a student's wrist. He initiated physical contact in a coercive context. I responded proportionately. Proportionately. I applied controlled force to a non-vital joint. The fracture is minor. He'll recover fully. I could have applied the same technique to structures that don't recover. She was very quiet. You chose not to. I'm not here to injure people. I'm here to establish that I'm not a target. There's a difference between those two things. Yes, I know the difference. She looked at him. She thought about everything she knew about human physiology, which wasn't much. She thought about the fact that Torv, who was 1.9 meters and weighed nearly double this student, was currently in the medical bay. You've trained in combat sport, she said. Yes. Since 11. Yes. How long? 9 years civilian. 2 years military. And you came here as an exchange student. Yes. Did you know something like this would happen? He thought about it honestly. I knew Torv's setup was unstable. Systems based on intimidation have failure points. He met her eyes. I was patient. She was quiet for a long time. The documentation you mentioned, starting from day 3. Yes. Can I see it? He pulled out his datapad. He handed it over. She scrolled. She scrolled more. This is comprehensive, she said. I tried to be thorough. Dates, times, specific incidents, witness positions. Yes, you built a case file. In case it was needed. For what? For this conversation? Or for a formal complaint? He looked at her. I didn't want my response to happen in a vacuum. I wanted to document it in context. She set the datapad down. She looked at the ceiling for a moment. She looked at Finn. Finn. Yes. I'm going to be honest with you. Please. What Torv did in that cafeteria was technically within the boundaries of what I can formally address. The hand on the shoulder. I know. What you did was technically beyond those boundaries. A fractured bone. I know. From a purely procedural standpoint, I should be reprimanding you. From a procedural standpoint, yes. But you have this. She tapped the datapad. 9 days of documented behavior. And I have 18 months of documented complaints about Torv that don't quite clear the bar for formal action. I know about the 18 months. She looked at him. How? Other students, they talk. Once they realized we weren't afraid of him, they talked more. You've been gathering information from other students. Information voluntarily shared. Yes. She picked up the datapad again. She looked at the documentation. She looked at Finn. What do you want from this conversation? She asked. I want the administration to act on the 18 months of documented behavior. I want the formal record to show that my response was a proportionate reaction to an ongoing pattern, and I want the exchange program to be what it claims to be. What does it claim to be? A place where students learn from each other, not a place where one group controls the others through intimidation. She was quiet. You came here knowing none of that was working. I came here knowing it needed fixing. And you decided you were going to fix it. He shook his head. I decided I was going to create the conditions where the administration could fix it, with evidence, with a clear incident, with documentation. She stared at him. You engineered this. I created an opportunity. You let him come to you. I sat at a table I had every right to sit at, and I waited for him to make a choice. He made one. She sat back. She thought about 9 days of patience, about documentation, about a shoulder grab in 2 seconds and a fractured wrist, about a student who had been training for 14 years and sat calmly eating lunch after demonstrating why. I'm going to need the full documentation file, she said. I can send it, and I'm going to need to speak with Torv and his crew and the other students you mentioned. Of course, this is going to take some time to resolve formally. I understand. In the meantime, I'll stay out of trouble, he said. She looked at him. Finn. Yes. Are you capable of staying out of trouble? He almost smiled. I'm very capable of it. I've been doing it for 9 days. She picked up his datapad and her notes, dismissed. He walked back to the dormitory. Maya and Lena were waiting. How'd it go? Maya asked. Fine. Fine or fine, I'm suspended fine? Fine as in. She's going to look at the documentation and address the actual problem. Lena looked at him. She believed you. I gave her 18 months of evidence plus 9 days of my own. There wasn't much not to believe. She's going to go after Torv. She was already looking for a reason. I gave her one. Maya sat back. You planned this from day 3. Day 1, honestly. The table situation on day 1 told me what we were dealing with. Day 1, she repeated, and you just waited. I waited for the right moment. What made Thursday the right moment? He sat down. He was overconfident. 9 days of us not reacting the way he expected. He'd convinced himself the lack of reaction was weakness. He picked up his datapad. Overconfidence makes people predictable. Lena shook her head slowly. 14 years, she said, of sport, yes. It's not just the physical part, is it? The physical part is about 10%, he said. The rest is reading people, reading situations, knowing when to move and when to wait, and when to let someone grab your shoulder. He looked at her. You time it right, and 1 moment does the work of 100. The room was quiet. Is his wrist going to be okay? Maya asked. Minor fracture. He'll be fine in a few weeks. You knew that. I applied exactly enough force to fracture the small bone, not the major structures. You calibrated. She stopped. You calibrated how much force to use in a fraction of a second. That's what training is for. So you could have done worse. Much worse. But you didn't. I didn't need to. He looked at his datapad. He needed to be stopped, not destroyed. Maya looked at Lena. Lena looked at Maya. They had the expression of people recalibrating something. Are all humans like you? Lena asked. Finn looked up. Like what? Patient, strategic, trained, waiting for the right moment. He thought about it. Some of us, the ones who've been in situations where patience was the only useful tool. He set the datapad down. When you're smaller than the problem, you learn not to charge at it. You learn to wait. You learn to use the problem's momentum. You used Torv's own momentum against him. In 2 ways, physically, yes, but also, he created the situation that justified the response, his 18 months of behavior, his decision to grab me. I didn't create any of that. I just made sure it was documented. Lena was quiet for a moment. The documentation, she said. You started on day 3. Yes. Dates, times, witnesses. Yes. That's not a reflex, that's a plan. Yes, you arrived here with a plan. He thought about it. I arrived here prepared. There's a difference. What's the difference? A plan assumes you know what will happen. Preparation means you're ready for what might happen. He looked at them. I didn't know there'd be a Torev. I just knew there might be. Maya was quiet. What did you expect this year to be? She asked. Honestly, yes. I expected to learn things I didn't know. About other species. About how they think. About how they move through the world. He looked at the window. I expected some friction. New environments have friction. And I expected the friction to be resolvable. Was it? He thought about the cafeteria, the crack, the floor. Torv's crew standing still, the whole cafeteria going quiet. Starting to be, he said. 3 days later, Dean Preth called Torv in, then his crew, then the other students who'd been on the receiving end of 18 months of arrangements. The students talked. They'd been waiting for a reason to. Torv lost the table arrangements. He lost the corridor agreements. He lost the informal system he'd spent a year and a half building, not because anyone confronted him. Because everything was documented. Everything was clear. Everything was on record. He came to the cafeteria on Monday. His crew found seats in different places. The system was just gone. He sat alone. He looked across the room, at the table that had been reserved, at the 3 humans sitting at it. Finn looked up. He met Torby's eyes. He nodded. Not friendly, not hostile, just acknowledgement. Torv looked at his tray. He ate his meal. A Solani student named Vel sat down next to Finn 2 weeks later. She'd been at the academy for 6 months. She'd been on the receiving end of Torv's arrangements for most of that time. She set her tray down carefully. Can I sit here? Yes, she sat. She ate for a moment. Thank you, she said. For what? You know for what? He looked at her. He was going to do it eventually, Finn said. Someone was going to be the moment. But it was you. Yes. Why? He thought about it. Because I could afford to be. She looked at him. What does that mean? It means I had the training to make it clean. No lasting harm. One clear moment. He looked at his food. If someone without that background had been the moment, it might have gone worse. For them. Yes. So you. I didn't plan to be a hero. I planned to not be a victim, and the byproduct of that was useful to other people. She was quiet. Your species, she said. Yes. You have a saying. I heard it from another human. The best time to plant a tree was 20 years ago. The second best time is now. He looked at her. Yes. What does that mean to you? It means if you're not prepared, start preparing. The time you wish you'd used isn't available, but right now is. She was quiet. 14 years, she said. Yes. You've been planting that tree for 14 years, since I was 11. Yes. She ate for a moment. What's the tree for? He looked at the window. At the station outside. At the stars. For exactly this, he said, being somewhere that matters and being able to do something that matters. She nodded slowly. Can I ask you something? Sure. Were you ever afraid? Of Torv? Of any of it? He thought honestly. In the cafeteria, in the moment. There's always something. He looked at his hands. A spike. Adrenaline. Fear. Data. My body telling me this is significant. Don't make a mistake. How do you not make a mistake? Training. If you've done something 10,000 times, you don't think about it in the moment. You've already thought about it. The execution is just memory. She looked at his hands. 10,000 times. Roughly, over 9 years. That's, she calculated, 3 times a day. In competitive training. Yes, usually more. She was quiet. What do you think when I say the word human? She asked. He raised an eyebrow. What do I think? Before you knew humans. Before the exchange. What did everyone think? What does the file say? Moderate. General purpose, no specialized extremes. He nodded. That's accurate for the average. You're not average. I am in many ways. I'm not an exceptional athlete. I didn't make the top competitive tier. I'm a good student, but not remarkable. I have ordinary weaknesses. But you just. I'm good at one specific thing, he said, and that one thing was useful in this specific situation. She looked at him. What happens when you put a lot of humans in a lot of different situations? He thought about it. Some of them are good at the thing that matters in that situation. Because you all train different things. Since childhood, multiple disciplines, different sports, different skills, different areas of expertise. So across a group of humans, someone is always good at the thing that's needed. He looked at her. We cover a lot of ground. She was quiet. She looked at the cafeteria, at the 50 students from 12 species, at the 3 humans among them, at the table that used to be reserved, now just a table. The file is wrong, she said. The average is correct, Finn said. The ceiling isn't defined. What's the ceiling? He thought about his instructor at 11 years old. About the gym at 6 in the morning, about 10,000 repetitions, about the specific, quiet pleasure of being ready when the moment came. That's what we're all trying to find out, he said. 6 weeks later, the exchange year continued. New students arrived. Old dynamics shifted. The cafeteria was just a cafeteria. Dean Preth submitted a formal report to the exchange program governing body. It recommended a comprehensive review of anti-intimidation protocols. It also included a section on early intervention strategies. It cited the human documentation approach specifically. It noted the most effective resolution of long-term coercive behavior was produced not by direct confrontation or administrative intervention, but by patient, systematic documentation combined with a single proportionate response at the critical moment. It noted, this approach was not improvised. It was planned. The student responsible had been prepared to implement it from the first day of the program. It noted, the planning was culturally and individually trained, not accidental. The final line of the section read, of note, the human student who initiated this resolution had no formal authority, no administrative backing, no support structure beyond 2 colleagues. He was simply prepared. And patience, it turns out, is a more effective tool than size. On Earth, on a Tuesday morning, a 12-year-old walked into a gym. She was nervous. First day, she looked at the other students. They were bigger. They were faster. They'd been here longer. Her instructor walked over. First time? Yes. Scared? She thought about it. A little. Good, he said. That means you're paying attention. He handed her a uniform. We'll start with the basics. How long will it take to be good? He looked at her. How long are you willing to work? She thought about it. A long time. He nodded. Then probably a long time. He turned toward the mat. Come on, let's plant the tree. She followed him. She didn't know what that meant yet. She would, and that's the story of how one human changed what the galaxy believed was possible. If this story moved you, leave a like on the video and tell me in the comments where you're watching from. And if you enjoy stories where humanity refuses to give up, subscribe for more HFY Sci-Fi stories. Because out there in the stars, humans are just getting started.